So welcome everybody. This is Spiritual Healing for Autism, and I apologize for getting my class notes up. So we actually did this class before. We were about halfway through, and we had a problem where my mother-in-law actually, we thought she was having a heart attack, and we could not finish the class. So this is kind of a replay of that class because I feel like this is super, super important. So if you guys are not aware, I am autistic. I also probably have ADHD and dyslexia. So I am like queen of neurodiversity. Woo-hoo. And so, when I say this class is spiritual healing for autism, this is not that we are trying to fix or solve autism as a problem, but this is me as an autistic coming in and recognizing some beautiful spiritual gifts that autistics have, that autism has, that autism has given me, and learning some things that can help support someone who has autism, that helps their life be more healthy, happy, productive, because we are very different. And I honestly feel like autism is a beautiful gift. And it is one that I recently discovered myself. I had a very beautiful friend who is also autistic. And she was like, I think you're autistic. And I was like, I'm not autistic, you're crazy. And it was very interesting to me to even think of that, because we look at autism the way it's projected on the movies. The nonverbal child, typically a male who is in the corner, rocking in the corner. We don't typically see autism as a beautiful gift that allows us to express ourselves in a different way. And it was funny, there's a couple movies that I really connected to that actually reflect my autistic gift. And one of those was the Divergent book series and movie series. And in Divergent, I was like, oh, that's me. I'm the Divergent. I'm the one that doesn't think like everybody else. I'm the one that doesn't feel like everybody else. And that is just a profound gift. Somebody on TikTok says, I wonder how you connect with nonverbal autistic people. So I'm going to tell you guys about this, because I actually discovered this gift a couple years ago when I wasn't actually using my spiritual gifts. There was a period where I was like, got the wrong person for this job. God, I did not want to do this. So I was at church, and I was sitting out in the hallway when this little boy, I think he was about 10 or 11, kind of ran past me. And then a few seconds later, a gentleman ran after him. And I was like, and he's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And I was like, what, can I help us? What's going on? And he goes, he's autistic. I can't get him to sit in the classroom. He's just running off. And I have all these other kids in the classroom. And here I am trying to chase after this other kid. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. I got 7 kids. I got this. Let me help you. And so I walked out, and I realized instantly, the little boy was like, I could feel his thoughts. I could feel them coming into me. And he was telling me he was overstimulated. He's like, there's too many kids in the classroom, too much going on. I can't, like, I could feel this within him. And I just looked at the guy, go, he's overstimulated. That's too much for him. So let me just stay with him. I'll stay with him while you go back to your class. It's no big deal. I'll stay with this little boy. And so he wasn't very verbal. He wasn't completely nonverbal, but he was, had limited expression. And I could feel in his head, I was like, okay, what's going on? What can I do to calm? And I kind of just had this feeling to ask, like, what do you like? And I heard his soul speak back to me. I love Pokemon. And I was like, oh, Pokemon. I have Pokemon Go on my phone. So I pulled up Pokemon Go, and we spent the rest of the time at church walking around catching little creatures on my phone. And that was the first instance that I realized, oh my gosh, I can communicate with these kids. And I believe that my autism is part of my spiritual gift, because I have something called mirror touch synesthesia. And mirror touch allows me to feel in my body what someone else is feeling within their body. And sometimes that's very unpleasant, especially if somebody has like a migraine or something going on. I'm like, ugh. Sometimes my body or my energy will just block it out. And I like, because I'm overstimulated, I won't feel things. So it is very, very interesting to me. But fast forward, I've had a couple clients with nonverbal kids that I've helped just through my medical readings. And I was like, oh, this really is part of my gifts. This is part of what I can do. And I love, 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 love this gift. Like, I can't even tell you how happy it makes me to be able to communicate these things to parents. I had a friend of mine who has a little boy named Jack, and he is verbal, but he barely speaks. He's very quiet and doesn't articulate a lot. And I was like, she was like, can you talk to Jack for me? And I'm like, sure, let's try it. I get on and I'm going in there and I'm telling her stuff. And we were on the phone, like Zoom like this. And I was like, what happened to his finger? His finger hurts. She goes, his finger? I'm like, yeah, this finger, it was his middle finger. I'm like, this finger, middle finger, right hand, it hurts. What did he do to his finger? And she goes, well, he was at a friend's house and I can't remember exactly how it happened, but he smashed his finger in the door of a chicken coop and it was bruised and damaged. She's like, how did you know that? I'm like, because he told me that he told me. And she's like, okay. And then we kept going on and we kept talking to him, and I was doing some throat chakra work on him. And one of the things that I noticed, and I have throat chakra stuff, is that throat chakra is obviously connected with communication. It's how we communicate. And typically anybody with autism, even if you're verbal like me, you're going to have throat chakra issues, which means we're going to struggle with communications. So often for me, I struggle with telling people what's in my head and getting it out. So often, like if you get on a call with me and you book a phone call with me, and I'll try to get my call notes actually from today, is I will do little things like I'll draw little doodles to kind of show you. Let me see if I can find a better one because that's a sucky drawing. Anyways, like, yeah, I try to cover up this person's name, but I'll draw little doodles that'll tell me how things are, and I'll use that to show people because I can't often get my words out. So I will draw. And I actually, if you haven't noticed, I have an art background. I actually do have a degree in art and animation, although I don't really use it. I did paint that, and I'm very artistic and creative, and I think that it helps me express that part of me. And so it was really, really profound. So I started working on his throat chakra, and it kept closing in on itself. I was like, I'd open it and it'd go. Bloop. So typically when I feel someone's throat chakra, it should feel pretty firm. Sometimes when people have a closed throat chakra, one side or the other, or there'll be issues, but I can typically manipulate that energy through energy healing and allow that throat chakra to heal. So I was working on his throat chakra and it kept closing in and it kept closing in. And so I told my friend, I'm like, I'm going to open this, and I got it to kind of be open and slightly stable, and it would close again. And I said, okay, I got this sort of open. I don't know if I can guarantee this is going to help with anything. And he might have actually where he'll speak and then he will stop again. So I said we might need to do multiple sessions with him, but she literally, and if I could show you my phone, except for I'm on it with TikTok right now, that she texted me and she goes, oh my God, Jack just asked what was for dinner. Like, he never says stuff like that. He came in and it's like, what's for dinner? And I was so shocked, I didn't even know what to do. And that was another profound moment where I was like, holy shit, this is like something amazing. And so I had this beautiful lady who was actually on one of my calls for medical reading. And she's like, can you help me with my sister? And I was like, yeah, I can. And so we had a call on Saturday, and we didn't do any energy work. We just really communicated with her at this call. And she was, I think, 20s or 30s. I'm not sure. I didn't ask how old she was, but I was able to go in and be like, okay, these are the TV shows she likes. These are the people she likes. She was very upset that they would not let her eat more chocolate. And I told this to her sister. She goes, I know she loves chocolate, but we're not allowed to give her so much chocolate. It's not good for her. And because she'll eat like lots of chocolate. And then the sister was telling me about it. She's like, I love these hugs. They go like this and squeeze. And I told her, I said, your sister's showing me this hug and this squeeze. And she just kind of like, was like, wow, this is how my dad used to hug her. And the dad used to my dad used to hug her this way before he passed away. And so I was able to communicate to the family, this is what she loved, was these hugs. And so somebody on the TikTok actually had a question where they said, when I say energy work, does that mean I do Reiki? So I am a certified Reiki master. However, I do not use Reiki anymore. I feel like Reiki is limiting with things, and I typically just use my own abilities. I honestly got certified in Reiki for the wrong reasons. I got certified because, one, I get questions like this often, like, oh, you mean like Reiki? And I'm like, not like Reiki, but Reiki most likely is the most easily thing for people to understand. But also because I wanted to work with people in the hospital, and the hospital around me allowed energy workers to come in and volunteer time only if you were a certified Reiki master. So I did those things, but I actually used my own gifts for that. And so this has just been a really profound thing, because I love doing the medical calls, but to be able to communicate with kids and help kids, you know, as a mom of 7, it makes me so amazing. So a lot of questions are coming through on TikTok about, can I help? I do actually have an application process for calls with me on my website, and you guys can go under there under healing and get those and sign up for that. So you are welcome to sign up. Just keep in mind that you need to sign up either for your own children. You need to either have custody, or you need to have, they need to be your children, or you need to have like power of attorney. So don't sign up for other people. But you guys are welcome to come in and sign up for those one-on-one calls. And in the next week or so, we're going to start it's going to be just like with my medical calls, where I'm going to have to be selective, and you know, we're not going to be able to do as many as I would like to do, because I have to be protective of my energy. So going back into this class, you know, as someone who's autistic, I really believe that autism gives people superpowers. It empowers me and other autistics to see and view the world and understand the world in a way that no one else does. You know, like I talked about the mirror touch synesthesia, I can literally feel in my body what other people are feeling. I can literally jump into their soul and hear what they're thinking and feeling, what's going on from their minds. And it's a profound spiritual gift. And when I first found out about mirror touch, I was not aware that I was autistic. And so it was saying in this thing, it was like, only people who are amputees or who are autistic have these gifts. And I was like, well, that doesn't describe me. So why do I have this gift? Little did I know that I did actually found out about that. Now, so this class is really directed towards supporting people with autism or caregivers of children with autistic, let's just call it autistic abilities, to better understand themselves. One thing that I think that is a really a misinterpretation maybe of autism is the belief that autistics are not empathic, that we don't feel emotions. We actually do, just differently. So, you know, some of the emotions and experiences that I have experienced, I've had difficulty expressing those and sharing those words or ideas. Like I talked about before, sometimes I see it in here, I can't always get it out here. So sometimes we feel shut out or looked down upon because we can't articulate our emotions like other people, you know, so we get a little bit more reactive, or, you know, we don't react the same way other people do. So they see our emotions as inappropriate. It just is what it is. But remembering that autism, when it comes to empathy and feeling other people's emotions and feeling what people have, we're actually have that heightened awareness. We just lack some of the social emotions and things like that. So sometimes we feel shut out or looked down upon because of that. So recognize that often when I go in with an autistic child, one of the first things that their soul tells me is they think I'm stupid and I'm not. So remembering when you're dealing with someone with autism, or if you have autism yourself, you know, there's going to be this feeling inside that everyone thinks you're stupid when you're not. Everyone thinks that you don't understand when you do. And so recognizing that when you are dealing with someone who has autism, that one of the first things I pick up from those kids is they think I'm dumb. They think I don't understand. And so recognizing that um, will be one of your first things, is recognizing that just because they can't articulate, just because they can't speak all their emotions, just because we get meltdowns or things like this, does not mean that we're stupid or that we can't feel those emotions or that we don't understand them. So that's one of the first things I want you guys to understand from an autistic, is that we often feel like we're not listened to, like we're not understood, because we cannot articulate what is going on. And yes, Katrina just posted in there, we are going to open up, we have a wait list right now for anybody who's interested in mentorship. Mentorship will be opening, the mentorship program will start at the beginning of July, and we will start emailing people probably at the end of the week with the opportunity to join. And it's going to be a very small kind of thing. So there is a question, what kind of readings do I do? And I want to respond to this. The type of readings I do is I speak to your soul. I guess that's the best way to do. I look at your soul. I see where your original traumas, your injuries are, what you need to grow, to be more successful, to heal. I do medical intuitive work. I am definitely not the typical psychic. So remembering when you're talking, this class is specifically on autism. I'm not doing readings tonight. So when we talk about autism, recognize that that is one of the first things that anybody, when I go into, tells me they think I'm stupid and I'm not, is a very typical thought. The other one is the lack of autonomy and the lack of the ability of making choices. So remembering that often we want independence, we want to make choices, we want to articulate, and if those choices and we're not given those choices, that it's very frustrating to us, because we feel like, one, we can't articulate, two, we don't get choices in the matter. And so if you're dealing with somebody who's autistic, what's really important is to give them choices, because that's another thing that when I jump into somebody's soul and energy who has autism, and I know I feel this myself, I feel often that like people don't listen to me, right? Why, people treat me like I'm stupid when I'm not, just because I can't articulate. I actually had a business partner where I was dealing with a business partnership last year with a book publishing company that I started. And my business partner was very narcissistic, and she would be like, really like on me. And I was like, I can't articulate this. I can just show you, I can do this, but I can't articulate in my words. And so she would constantly push that down and not listen to those gifts. So even though I am high functioning and verbal, I still experience that, but it's a very typical thing to feel like we are run over and not spoken to. So yes, I love the neurodivergence. I think that it's a beautiful gift. So recognize that people with autism want choices. So if you have a child who has autism, one of the things that I do with my children, and I actually know now, none of my kids have been diagnosed. I'm fairly certain I have at least 2 children that are autistic who are very high functioning as well. But I would always give my children choices. Do you want to wear this outfit or this outfit? Do you want to wear your coat or carry your coat? Because sometimes kids didn't want to wear their coat. So I'd be like, okay, do you want to wear this or carry this with you? And so giving them choices will be very, very helpful to them and their development, and feeling like they're empowered, like they have a choice. And I think that that's another very important thing for you guys to remember, is giving autistics, neurodivergent children choices, making them feel like they have a part in their life. Now, somebody brings up a great point in TikTok about the sensory overload. we do get very overloaded. So if you give me 15 choices, I will shut down. I will be like, whoop, overload, can't choice. So often when I was a child, the biggest joke of my dad was is that they'd take me into a store and I'd look at the sea of toys and they'd say, pick a toy, and I couldn't do it. And they'd be like, why aren't you picking a toy? Just pick a toy. And I'd be like, well, I need shut down, right? And so if you give the child one, two, I would give them two, no more than three choices. That gives them, okay, do you want the blue one or the pink one? That can help, when it's limited choices. Do not give 35 different choices and you're going to shut us down. So remembering sensory overload is very, very real. So I want to talk about that sensory overload as well, because, I would often not understand before I was, got my diagnosis. And I should say I'm self-diagnosed with the help of a friend who is a nurse. So I have a friend who's a nurse who's like, yep, you're definitely autistic. And she actually took the autism panel that she gives with me. And she's like, look, here's my score. And she was like 3 and mine was like 140. I was like, oh, but I'm not really officially diagnosed beyond that. So just so you guys know, because I didn't feel like there was a purpose to it. Maybe I will in the future. But when we talk about sensory overload, remember how I was telling autistics actually do have emotions and empathy? We are actually like an empath on steroids. So remember how my mirror touch means I can feel everybody's shit? Yep. That's how it is. You go out into a crowd, you're going to notice that children who are autistic or special needs or who have ADHD or other neurodivergencies, there are going to be certain people they're going to gravitate to and certain people that they're going to be like, mm-mm. And recognize that because they're going to be able to read the soul of people and they're going to know this person's good, this person's not. And I really hate to make this is the only way I can make this connection for you guys. Please forgive me that it's going to sound slightly inappropriate, but it's like how animals and dogs are like, they know instantly if someone's a good person or a bad person. That's kind of how it is with autism. I can instantly know if someone's a good person or a bad person. And forgive me, that's probably the completely inappropriate analogy, but it's the only way that I can articulate this from my brain, is that in a way that hopefully you guys can understand, is I instantly know who's good or bad. And I've been told often that I'm judgmental or I'm rude because I won't have anything to do with people that I'm not connected to. I often will be called judgmental, and I'm like, I'm not judgmental. I just know they're not good people. I don't want to be around them. So recognize that if your child or your person in your life who has autism doesn't want to be around someone, there is a very, very, very good reason. Very good reason. And so pay attention to that, because they're going to recognize who's bad and good probably before you do, because they're going to feel it in the core of their soul. And so understand that, and this is one of the most profound experiences I had. Is I used to be pretty good with masking and dealing with crowds. And someone asked, do I tell someone if they're bad if they ask me? Typically someone who's bad doesn't care enough to find out if they're a bad person. Just so you know, bad people just, they don't usually care. And it's actually been very rare that I've actually come across a truly, truly bad person. Very rare. But anyways, at the beginning of the pandemic, I went out to Costco. And when I went into Costco, everybody was freaked out. The energy was really heavy. And it was very, very, very hard for me to be in that group of people, because everybody was reflecting negative energy. They were stressed, they were worried, they were panicked. There's a lot of fear. And I actually had to leave Costco, and I was like, nope, can't do this, gotta go, peace out. And I went and sat in the car. So let's see, we have some questions in our Zoom. My 4-year-old is diagnosed high functioning and has some speech making great improvements every day. Awesome. Keep working on the throat chakra and allowing him to express. Melissa is actually speaking of one of the opposite things of autism. So she says, my daughter doesn't seem to have a stranger danger concept. Maybe she just hasn't had that experience yet. Yes, so they're remembering that, you know, there is different people, different ways that people experience it. So like for me with autism, I like to cuddle and I like to be touched. But some people with autism will not like to be touched. And I actually should say that, like, I'm very selective on who touches me. But typically, so everybody has a different expression as well. And so depending on how your daughter connects, she may or may not have that part of her. So remember, some of my things that I experience may not be the same for you or your children. But understanding too that maybe the stranger danger is that she just knows who's good and who's not, and that it's just easy for her. You know, and that is something that even for me, like I struggled with when I was a kid, because I was like, I see the core of somebody and know at their core they were good people. And it just, you know, it was a struggle for me. And so it was constant teaching by my parents to help. Justin says, my son is very cuddly and loves deep pressure hugs and hand squeezes. Yeah. See, I'm that way. Like I have a, like a weighted blanket that is just fantastic. Like I'm so in love with my weighted blanket. And I have to sleep with a certain number of pillows around me too, so I can feel that pressure. And yeah, my son gets upset, but is really easily yelling and tries things, sounds bad, like the Hulk. Yeah. And that's probably him trying to express. So often we will look at like, listen to me, you know, we try to get the words out when we're not feeling heard, you know. So if your child is at that space where they're feeling overwhelmed and not being heard, typically, you know, for me, this is the best thing for me is to have somebody, like I actually told my husband, like if I'm upset and I'm not, you know, I'm just kind of not making sense, just come up and hold me. And that'll calm me down real quick. You know, it's sometimes it's that pressure and that help. Sometimes for me, it's I just need to go sit alone in my room and decompress. So, you know, the expression, and you know, we have somebody in the Zoom that's saying that like their child throws and calls bad names and foul language. That is probably an expression of frustration for them. I am frustrated. You know, I can't articulate. I can't be heard, and so you know, I will throw things because I cannot have someone express to me. So I would say for you, and what I did with one of my children is I would sit on the floor with them and I'd say, okay, let's sit, let's talk, you know, get down on their level, be calm and sit with them and just say, hey, I know that you're feeling upset right now. Let me sit with you and let's figure this out. You know, let's be calm. Sometimes you might have to let them just have their space and then come back. Sometimes deep breathing with them helps. Every child is going to be different. They're going to have different triggers, different reactions. And so looking at what is calm, but remembering that we will pick up on our emotions very, very strongly. So if you're upset and you're angry and you're frustrated, it's going to heighten our reaction. We're going to get more upset, more angry, more frustrated because we pick up on those emotions. You know, like my husband was a little grouchy when he got up this morning. Boom, I was grouchy too. And I was like, ooh. And I recognized it pretty quick. I was like, hey, oops, sorry, I got into the grouchy mode. Let me back out. And you know, so we shift and stuff. Yeah, sensory room. Yeah, Justin says when my son is upset, he can get aggressive and he bites. The therapist suggested a sensory room or sensory corner, and it's helped so much. He'll run to that area when he's upset. Yeah, and I get like that too. Like I feel like I want to bite something. It's a very like I actually, if you look at a lot of my pens, a lot of my pens are chewed up on the ends. These are actually new pens, so they're not chewed. But I will, because I will get frustrated. Or sometimes I'll like snap my fingers a little bit to kind of release the energy. If I'm feeling stress, sometimes if I'm really stressed, I will actually dig my nails in my palm to kind of release that for that sensory release. I have little stress balls, things like that. But you know, some sort of place where they can go and calm down. If in the car, you know, if you're in the car, you can have little things in the car that can calm them down. So remembering that that sometimes with autism we can't express, so we look at like outwardly creating a disruption to just express, you know. And so yeah, someone said on Zoom like the sun causes face. I actually have, I have to like remind myself, it's one of my masking behaviors, don't pick your face, or I'll twist my hair, you know, or I'll do stuff with that. I would bite my nails before I got my nails done. So every child, we have like different, every autistic has different like coping mechanisms. So look at giving that child a coping mechanism that is calming and soothing and appropriately safe for them, you know. And sometimes it's a lot of trial and error. I've gone through a lot of trial and error. Another thing that I like when I'm like overwhelmed is like the air blowing on my face, like it's like a fan. But another like person who has autism may not like that sensory. So you have to kind of play around and see what they like and what they don't like, to help with that. And so, you know, like I said, every child, an autistic that I've worked with so far, has had a throat chakra congestion, even if they're verbal like me. There's a throat chakra congestion. And so that's one of the things I'm going to just kind of do a healing visualization on during this class. So if you are here for your child, then you will just envision connecting with your child and sending that to your child as a proxy. If you're here for yourself, we'll just do it for yourself. The other thing that I have typically noticed with autistics is that there's stomach, gut, food allergy issues. Remembering that the stomach is the second brain. So we're going to work on healing some things in that stomach as well. And, you know, the third one, and I've already mentioned this before, is that we are more empathic, not less. And so we'll look on calming those empathic feelings. And then the fourth thing that I'm going to work on with this healing is, you know, like I told you before, I have a difficulty expressing myself. Sometimes I feel like my brain is like scrambled eggs. That's the best way for me to describe it. I'm like, like it's like all these little jumble. And so we're going to work on trying to heal some of those connections. Someone on Zoom says my daughter has a limited diet, and she was refusing to eat and getting dehydrated. Yeah. And that can happen sometimes. Like for me, like I prefer to drink thicker liquids. So drinking water is like mad to me. So I have to add like a flavor to my water, or I'll add things to thicken my liquids so that I like shakes and smoothies and things versus just thin things like water. So you know, sometimes it can be a sensory thing or a taste thing. Like I'm really weird. I will eat calamari, but I freaking hate shrimp and lobster. You know, I tend to try to eat vegan is my preference, but you know, in the past, like people are like, what, you'll eat calamari, but you will not eat lobster. And I'm like, no, it's a texture thing for me. I don't like the texture. So remembering a lot of things are texture. Like I'll get into a phase where I'll only eat what I call white foods. So like white bread, white rice, mashed potatoes. And I'll kind of get into that where I just need very bland foods. And then I'll shift out of it. And like now I'm on an Indian food kick. So, you know, we go through different phases with our eating. So remembering that, sometimes we go through phases. And so what we liked before, we may not like again. And I know that can be very frustrating. And it's frustrating for me too, because like I ordered a meal delivery service and I was like, oh, this is great. This is great. And I'm like, yeah, done with this. Don't want to eat it anymore. And now I have like 15 meals in my fridge. And I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. I don't want to eat them anymore. So yes, it is about listening to the body. And if you're working with your child, it's about listening to them. I would suggest even almost letting them choose things, you know, having selection. Remember that agency is super important. And sometimes it's more important, I have learned with children, to make sure that, you know, they're fed and happy versus you know, me like trying to feed them what I think they need and things like that. So we do try to eat a healthy diet, but there's sometimes where I'm like, you know what, whatever, eat. It's better that they eat than not. And I make up the difference with like protein shakes and smoothie shakes where you can sneak in vitamins and things like that. So, you know, look at different places that you can sneak in extra vitamins, minerals. I add electrolytes to my water so that I can make sure that I get enough. So let's see. Someone on TikTok said like a perfectionist and an idealist, when the world isn't how they imagine it, we're devastated. Yeah. And it is true. Like I imagine the world is a certain place. I imagine everybody's good in a certain way. And then I'm kind of sad when it's not the same, that my mind pictures things. And so we get a very, I don't know if narrow is the right word, but we get a very simplistic view or a complicated view of things, and it affects us in different ways. And you know, and the reason why autism is a spectrum, guys, is because there's so many nuances and differences with it that it's really hard to say it is exactly this or exactly that, because it's different for all of us. We feel and articulate everything very differently. And so you know, just know that because my experience is one way does not mean that my experience is across the board the same for everybody who's neurodivergent and autistic. We all have differences, and those differences are beautiful. And I want to remind you guys that autism and neurodiversity is a superpower, that I honestly believe that those that have these gifts were here for a great purpose in the world. And it was, I think, one, that we understand things in a way that no one else can understand. And when Elon Musk came out as autistic, I was like, I knew it. There's no way he could come up with the shit that he came up with without being autistic. You know, so I was pretty like, okay, yeah. So someone asked about ABA. I don't know what ABA is, so you'll have to like type it out so I understand. Yes, I I don't know. Autism is pretty awesome. And if we understand that autism is this superpower and that it's this beautiful gift, and if we remember that autistics are actually more empathic, then you can understand that they're going to pick up every emotion. If you're having a rough, frustrating day, they're going to have a rough, frustrating day with you. Um, and so keep that in mind, that, you know, a lot of people are going to say autistics have no emotions. And it's not true. We just feel them differently. We're just so much differently. Oh, applied behavioral analysis. Behavioral therapy breaks down their personality. I do not know much about that, so I'm not an expert, but I will say with applied behavior analysis, if it's breaking down someone's personality, I wouldn't be a fan of it. I think that we're created a certain way for a reason and a purpose. And, you know, this is what this class is about, is supporting who we are and helping us feel where we are, not trying to change us. And it sounds like that applied behavioral analysis, just from what you guys described, is trying to change things. So someone says it breaks down everything into small steps. I don't know. I don't, you know, guys, I honestly, I don't know a whole lot about it. I haven't experienced that therapy, so I can't really articulate it. I will say that I am a big picture thinker. And so I don't know if this is true for all people with autism, but for me, it is true. I see things in the big picture, the grand, the end game, the end plan of how it is. And I do struggle with steps and learning how to get to the big picture from the steps. So if that is the case, then maybe, you know, because it is helpful to have the steps. There's this conversation in TikTok about basically having a strict routine. I am actually not a fan of huge routines. And let me tell you why. Because when I'm in a routine, if my routine changes, it'll freak me out. It'll send me down like, oh, something's different, can't do this. So I actually don't like to have the same routine every day. I like to change it up so that I am constantly learning how to deal with different things. If my routine changes, it does kind of shift me. It's like I've actually made a rule with my children. You are not allowed to come at me with an event, a party, or a like friend request or things like that. Can I go to my friend's house? Like these have to be planned 48 hours in advance for me, because a change in my day will set me in a tailspin. It's why when someone books a call with me, I do not allow calls to be changed, because I see that call, I recognize that call, and then if it changes, it sends me off and like, I don't know what to do. So I like having different patterns. I like shifting up how I do things, because otherwise, like I was taking my son to school, it was a change out of my pattern, and I was driving him to high school, but I started driving towards my other kids' middle school, because my pattern was every morning I would go down this way, take my son to school, and come back to the middle school. And now I was going a different pattern. I was going to my son. And so my brain wasn't able to shift with that. So it helps for me to shift that up, to help me get used to different things and to be able to think on the fly. So let's see. Oh, let's see. Both my girls have a master's in ABA. Happy to set you up to talk to educate. Yes, I would love that. Thank you, Katrina. I would love to learn more about that, because I'm always open to learning. That is one thing about me. If I don't know about something, I am damn sure going to learn and research and really get into that. I think I'm always grateful to learn and learn more. And I think that that's one thing that is beautiful, that we should always be open to learning and trying new things. And that's why you guys are here, because you're open to learning and trying new things. So we're going to start in on the meditation. If you guys have not done like a healing meditation with me, let me tell you how this goes. We're going to start with 3 deep breaths in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. And as you breathe in, your chest and your stomach is going to rise and pooch out. And as you exhale out, we're going to push all that breath out. And we start with these cleansing breaths so that they can cleanse and kind of reset our energy and refocus. And then I'll take you guys through a guided meditation. And if you're doing this for your child, just set the intention just by, you can speak it in your mind. I am connecting with my child, speak their name. I am sending healing to my child, speak their name. And allow you can do this work for proxy for anybody that you would like. Just remembering that we want to basically have permission to help people. So if it's somebody that you don't have permission to help, please, get their permission, because I'm really big into agency, and that we should always have someone's permission to work with or heal with them. And so without further ado, my darling spiritual humans, let's get into this and start this healing meditation. If at any time you feel tired, dizzy, or nauseous, the energy might be too strong for you, you can pause, take a drink of water, take a deep breath, because sometimes I have heard my energy healings are pretty intense. You can absolutely do it for both yourself and your child. Absolutely, Justin. Anybody you want to do this for, like I said, just I would like that you have agency for that person. They're a family member, versus like, hey, my neighbor's son down the street, I'm going to do this for, not so much. But yeah, do it for yourselves. This is any of the meditations I do can be healing. And this is not just autism. This is, because we're going to be focusing on the throat chakra and the solar plexus today. And so anybody could really benefit from throat chakra and solar plexus healing. So yeah, let's do this thing, everybody. So we're going to start with our deep breaths in. And so we'll deep breathe in 1. Pause and exhale. 2. Pause, exhale. 3. Pause, exhale. As you continue to deep breathe, focusing in on your body, how your body feels. First, we'll ask that we bring in perfect love, perfect intentions. We release any fear, any attachments to healing, any strong, overwhelmed desires or stress will release from our perspective as we go into this healing. Perfectly calm, perfectly relaxed, without an agenda. We'll first begin to focus in the top of the crown chakra, the top of the head. We'll envision the beautiful white light surrounding the head, just cleansing, clearing the mind, clearing the perspective, clearing the thought patterns. Envision opening any closed doors within the mind, allowing the thoughts and the energy to flow from the left hemisphere to the right to the left, allowing perfect communication throughout the brain, perfect balance of thought and mind. Take a deep breath in. We'll then focus in on the throat chakra. We'll envision the chakra as a large megaphone in front of the throat. We'll first look at the damage, any congestion, any stagnation of energy as we gently sweep through the throat chakra, cleansing, restoring, rebalancing, opening that throat chakra, allowing it to flow, to move in a beautiful open clockwise pattern. It becomes strong, powerful, articulate, and open. As that throat chakra continues to open, we'll surround the throat a beautiful blue-white healing cloud. That healing cloud will regenerate and restore the throat chakra, restoring and rebalancing that throat chakra to its perfect intent, perfect balance, allowing the throat chakra to be open, to release any frustration around communication, to release any hesitancy around communication, any pain, any stress. We'll then reconnect the throat chakra to the crown chakra, allowing the thoughts and the words to be balanced, for the thoughts to be expressed through the throat, for the ideas, the dreams, and the expression to be open, to be rebalanced. Take a deep breath in. We'll go down into the solar plexus, which is over the stomach. And we're gently going to first sweep away any stagnation, inflammation, any allergies, emotions, or stress that is not serving us. We ask that the stomach restructure, rebalance. That the stomach will allow the food that is healthy to be digested properly. We open up the gut instincts, the intuition, and restore the gut-brain balance so that food may digest properly, that inflammation will be released, sending beautiful orange, white, and yellow light as they open that solar plexus like a sunflower, allowing it to bloom, restore, and rebalance and regenerate. We ask that the solar plexus release any fear, any worry, and any stress from our spirit and our perspective, restoring perfect knowledge, perfect strength. We ask the DNA and stomach to restore and rebalance to its original intent and purpose. We ask the DNA and throat to also restore, rebalance to its original intent and purpose. Take a deep breath in. We'll also go into the ears, sending in beautiful white light that is healing and protective through the ears, protecting us from sounds, releasing the irritation and frustration, the overstimulation from what we hear, from our perspective, releasing the fear, the startle reflexes from the loud noises, and the imbalance in the ears. We send perfect healing and perfect balance. We'll take a deep breath in. We'll focus in on the heart. With every beat of the heart, a beautiful white light expands and grows, flows through the arms, up through the top of the head, down through the legs and the feet, and then it swirls around us, the beautiful white healing light. This healing light regenerates, restores, seals, and protects as it rebalances, filling every crack, every crevice, and every hole that has been left behind as we shifted our energy today. With perfect peace and perfect light, I command the body to restore and regenerate, to heal and rebalance, to allow the gifts of neurodivergence and autism to be expressed for their fullest divine intent, allowing recognition of the beauty and the gifts that are connected with autism and neurodivergence. We allow those gifts to be expressed freely, completely, and wholly. We allow that intellect, that mind, and that thought process to be expressed. We open up the doors for beautiful creation and knowledge to be shared with the world, that the spiritual gifts of those with autism will manifest, will be shared explicitly and completely as they were intended. Let us send gratitude. Say thank you for the healing that we have received, for the rebalancing, and for the future healing and rebalancing. We offer our gratitude with a deep breath in, saying thank you. We can start to move our body, flex our arms, just move in your chair, wiggle your toes. And when you're ready, You can open your eyes, come back into the room. Oh, I'm gonna yawn. Yawning is a release of energy. Yawning, burping, farting, sneezing, it's all an energetic release. So we welcome those type of things. Um, Oh, Justin Unzu says so much crying. Crying is a beautiful release. I welcome crying. I actually love it when my clients cry because I know that they're expressing emotions and that they are releasing. And I think that that is super, super beautiful. You guys, oh my gosh, somebody had texted us. I farted during that. Yep, you are releasing energy. So Melissa says, when I visited my daughter's throat chakra, it was empty, void. Is that normal? No. Justin said, I heard my son say sunflower in the meditation. Oh, that's beautiful. So he saw it. Ah, I love that. Okay, I'm going to go back to Melissa's question. The reason why we are seeing the void in that throat chakra is probably because her throat chakra is closed. So you may need to do more throat chakra healing for her. It's like when I worked with my friend's son, Jack, we had to do a lot of work to just get it open, and then it would close again. It would collapse back on itself. So it's going to need a lot of strength. Sometimes when we do spiritual healing, it will take a while for those healings to stick, right? To be open. And so that void that you were saying, Melissa, is probably because her throat chakra is closed. And so, we need to continue working on the throat chakra and doing throat chakra work. This class will be free, and Katrina's probably going to laugh her butt off at me because I keep saying, sorry, one of my kids is peeking in. I keep saying I'm going to get these classes on my website, and I think I have like 52 classes that I need to, but it is my goal that this class will be class. So you can come in when it's up on my website and retake this class and keep doing that meditation for yourself or for your kids, and keep doing that healing work. Remembering that parents have a beautiful bond and connection with their children. You can send that healing to your children. Your children have the ability to heal things within them. You have the ability to heal your things within you. Remembering that myself, like we say, like, oh, I'm spiritually gifted, I have these healing gifts, la da 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 da, right? But really what I am, conduit of light. My mentor, Dan, who is a Javon medicine man, calls it, we're like a hollow bone, where we allow the energy to flow through us, and then we share that energy and it's gone. And so I am sharing that with you guys, but I want to remind you that you have that gift within you to heal yourselves, to heal your family, to your children. Does that make sense? I was able to do the mind and stomach, no problem, but the throat was difficult. It was just empty. Maybe I just thought I wasn't focusing enough or something. No, I think, I think that emptiness is that it needs more work in that throat chakra area. And, I wouldn't know exactly unless I was really connected to her energy, Melissa, and really dug into exactly, but this is my best guess just on what I know, is that throat chakra is probably just really closed. So this, guys, is going to conclude our throat chakra healing class today. Our throat chakra, sorry, we're just talking about the throat chakra. See, guys, my brain even just like, this is going to conclude our healing for autism class today. And know that, sorry guys, a call just came through, that autism is a beautiful gift, that it doesn't need to be fixed or changed, but sometimes there are just parts that we can heal that can support those with neurodivergence and autism a little bit more, that can help those that have autism live a better life, to fully express and love who they are. And so I want to thank you guys for being here, for helping me express my gift and to share my gift with you guys. And I know people get on and they get very excited, like, are you going to do readings? Are you going to do readings? And it's like, today. And sometimes it makes me sad to see that people will drop off because they want those readings. I'm very glad that they're here and allowed me to share my gifts with you and to share that healing with you. And I will look forward to seeing you guys hopefully in my future classes. I want to remind you that every Friday is my free Friday healing calls, where we do healing sessions similar to this, where you can come in and ask me specific questions about yourself, about others. Remembering also that I am opening up spiritual healing for autistics, one-on-one sessions for kids that are nonverbal. And when I say nonverbal, it just means that they struggle with articulation. They don't have to be nonverbal. It just means that they, that you cannot communicate in a regular way with them. Where you guys can apply for a call with me. It's free, and I will go in and I will talk to your kids for you and express that to you. Katrina says, reminder, I'm off in June. Yes, I am taking 2 weeks off in June. Do I actually ever take 2 weeks off? Probably not. Am I going to be able to stay away from you guys? Probably not. But we are going camping at least a week in June, at least 1 week. So most of these things will probably start in July when I get back, because, I'm finished like that. But I do very much need a break because I've been nonstop since January. And I have learned if I don't get enough breaks, I go and I fizzle. So yeah, keep in mind, guys, that I have a lot of free offerings on my website to support you guys. Or if you guys want to book a reading with me, I know there's a few available actually in July that just opened up because don't tell anybody, because Nancy opened up a couple more. So I was booked out through August, and then she shifted the calendar. And so I think there's like 3 calls available in July if anybody wants those. But and I'll be offering a Spirit Fluent. I have Becoming Spirit Fluent. If you guys want to work more with me, 4 days a week, we talk about healing stuff. And Katrina's in that class where we have 4 days a week where we talk about, I have, Q&A, so you guys can ask me questions. I teach you guys, and it's like $24 a month. Or if you guys want a mentorship on opening, I have an application for that, which will be a small group of people who are ready to open spiritual gifts and kind of start stepping into how to gifts as well. So lots of stuff ranging from free to not free all over my website, but I try to support. And I just want you guys to know I never want money way of you guys working with me, and that's why I offer so many classes and free things. So make sure that you take advantage of those things, because I work into them and I like to help you guys. So all right, I'm gonna go. You guys have a beautiful day. Thank you for your love and support. I deeply appreciate you guys. I'm going to end the Zoom call for time's sake so I can do the recording. I'll stay on with TikTok 5 more minutes, answer questions. So you guys have a beautiful day. Thank you.